All right, so that was the last slide from our last lesson. Now we're going to go into associations. Um, so association, another word, and I'll probably slip into using this word more often because that's the how I taught it in Leavenworth, and how I learned it is correlation, and whether it's a positive, negative, or no correlation. And so basically, it's when our points aren't really clustered, but there's this correlation that as x increases and y increases. So if as x increases, y increases, that's a positive correlation or association. And I have to remind myself association because that's what Math Excel uses. But just FYI, uh, that's the uh, word. They mean the same, association, correlation. So again, as x increases and y increases, we end up with a positive association. As x increases, but if y decreases as x increases, this causes a negative association. And that's an O and not an R. And then if there's like no, like x is increasing, y is doing its own thing, that's a no association. Again, I call these correlations, but in case it helps, if x increases and y increases, that's when we have the positive. If x increases, y decreases, and then just all over. That's one way to remember each of our associations. All right, so we're going to go to our first example on association, or our fifth example for section 3.5. We want to make a scatter plot to represent the data. So my x-axis is going to be my length, and that's in inches. And my y-axis is going to be my weight, and that's in pounds. Looking at our numbers, length is going from 12 to 72. So I'm going to count these by 10. 50, 60, woo, 70. I'm just going to stop at 80 because I know we don't go beyond 80. And then looking at our weight, we don't go beyond 50. So I'm actually going to do my weight by fives. 5, 10, skip one, then get to 20, 35, 40, 45, 50. You can write the numbers in between as well, but just for the sake of not getting too crowded. And then from here we just graph, so like approximate where 12 is, and then 0.5 is, yeah, basically still on that line. I'm going to go ahead and finish graphing my points. If I were you, pause the video, graph the points, wait till my points pop up, and then graph the points. It's up to you, but we're graphing the points in the table. So I've gone ahead, I've put the points onto, remembering that length comma weight is our coordinate point, but I have now graphed the table onto the graph. All right, so I did A, make a scatter plot to represent the data. All right, B, does an association exist between the length and the weight for the alligator? And I would say yes. And it's a positive association. It is not a wise to abbreviate that word, by the way. Not at school, anyway. I would say it's positive because as our alligator gets bigger, its weight increases. All right, so now it's saying, hey, predict the weight of an alligator that is 58 inches long. So what I'm going to do is, here's 50, there's 60. I'm going to go about 58 in here. And I would say we're going to be somewhere in here between 30 and 40. So that's what I'm going to put for my prediction. Between 30 and 40 pounds. That would be my estimation, my prediction as to how much a 58-inch long alligator would weigh. All right, we have another example to go through. That one, this is maybe we don't have a graph to look at. Knowing the information, we can still decide whether or not it's going to show a positive, negative, or no association. So looking at our first one, we have speed and distance traveled. So you just think about it. If I drive faster, does my distance travel increase or decrease? So the faster I drive, the more distance I travel. And so this would have a positive association. So again, the way I thought about that is the faster I drive, the more distance I cover. So faster, more, we're increasing for both of those. All right. Size of a TV screen and the number of channels a TV receives. All right, I want you to think for me. Does the size of your TV determine how many channels you get on it? The answer to that is no. The size of your TV does not determine how many channels you get. So this is a no association. I got a pretty big TV, but we don't have cable or satellite, so I don't have channels. I have whatever I can get on antenna, which is not very much. But let's be honest, it has nothing to do with the size of my TV. All right, and then C, size of a family and the amount of a water bill. So just think of it. The more people you have in a family, the more showers that have to be taken, or baths, the more hands that are getting washed, the more times the toilet's being flushed. I would say that as the bigger your family is, the higher your water bill is going to be. So the likelihood is we're going to have a positive, and evidently I didn't spell it right up here, positive association. I'm trying to think of an example of a negative one since there's not one on this list. And so I'm thinking off the top of my head, like negative association, more days missed, right? Days absent. And then grades. So the more days, as the days you are absent increases, so as your X increases, your grades will drop. And so as X increases, Y decreases. And so that would give a negative association. So that's just an example. That's it for 3.5, 3.6, and 3.7. Will also be about scatter plots. We're going to talk about how we can use them to predict. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Statistics is where Mrs. Cartwright lives. All right. Algebra and these are my passions. So I'm excited. I hope that we can do some really cool things when you guys get to this part. I'll see you in class. Deuces.